Hey everyone, it's me Dipankar and I'm a principal quality engineer at Nagaro with the quality engineering practice. So over the years I have helped, led and shape quality transformation program for large scale, fast moving environments where we have moved from fragmented testing to quality engineering practice. For me, quality engineering is not just about tools and test cases, automation. It's about engineering confidence into releases and bring everyone together on the quality platform and majorly enabling the pipeline and shifting mindset and aligning the business efforts together. So today I want to take you through a classic case study of quality engineering, and the solution is neither AI or SI, but it is HI, which is human intelligence. So I will be talking more about that, and it's a journey where we stepped into a complete chaos and worked systematically to bring clarity, control and confidence. So it's a real transformation story, one where reactive firefighting evolved into proactive quality practices. We called it Mayhem to Method. Welcome everyone. Before I start, wanted to tell you about, did you know that a single unit mismatch cost NASA a $125 million spacecraft? Yes, NASA lost their Mars orbiter, climate orbiter on September 99, just as it was about to enter Mars orbit. The spacecraft disintegrated in the Martian atmosphere because it entered too low by around 170 kilometer, around 100 miles, lower than it was expected. So the root cause, NASA obviously, after the mission failure, they did the root cause, and what it been found, a unit conversion error between two collaborating systems. Lockheed Martin was responsible for delivering the spacecraft and the thrust performance data to the navigation system, and they were calculating the impulse in pound per second, which is an imperial unit, but the navigation software at NASA was expecting data in Newton per second, which is in metric unit. So the mismatch was not caught, and what happened is the spacecraft trajectory was calculated incorrectly, and the impact, the spacecraft lost and got pulled too low to the Mars, and it probably skipped away into the space or burnt away, and the whole mission was more than $300 million. So why it matters to the quality engineering? The failure shows that small oversight like unit test case mismatch or a incorrect integration can have a devastating effect. So quality engineering must include missing unit, and it should include the systems thinking, interface validation and collaboration between the systems, not just about any testing or even functional testing, integration testing. Automation alone can't save you if your systems are not aligned. So studies show that around $2 million, yes, it's $2 million has been lost in terms of fixing quality and productivity in US companies. And in that light, our project or the story that I am going to tell you may be small, but a systematic approach helped us to move from chaos to clarity and bring control. I am not here to talk about any importance of testing in a testing talk conference, but want to tell something more important and critical. It's quality engineering. So, the case study or the problem statement that I wanted to talk about is about one of our Nagaro's flagship customer, an organization with a large international footprint and a lot at stake on its quality at scale. So, what is the problem that we have? Post-COVID, the customer's digital footprint grew rapidly. The interactions skyrocketed, transactions were surged, and with that came the need of faster development and more features. The development team scaled up to meet the demand, but the quality practices did not scale with it. In just 12 months or so, there were more than 50 plus production issues or outages, mostly caused by application errors. The cracks became clear: mounting, technical debt, ongoing performance and scalability issue, long recovery times, and a quality process that could not simply catch up. The result, a frustrated team, shaken confidence. So, at the start of this journey, we sat down and asked some critical questions. How do we stabilize the system? How do we raise the bar on quality and celebrate it? How do we shift left, not just in process, but in mindset? How do we bring visibility, clarity and trust back to the customer and stakeholders? And most importantly, how do we meet the market's needs without compromising reliability? So, once we got past the surface level symptoms, we took a look into what was really causing the chaos. We found that the challenges were not isolated, they were spread across multiple dimensions of the process, system and delivery line. So, the resiliency and scalability was one of them. The system was designed to handle the level of traffic, it was not able to meet that. It was the customer base and the transaction volume increased and the system architecture could not catch up with that and it started showing cracks. Are we building for failure? Are we validating only the happy paths? Quality oriented culture, which is very important, and what we have seen that it's not a shared responsibility across teams. There was still a traditional approach where testing was left to the end for the QA team. Is quality embedded in our culture or just assigned to a team? Then the process, quality process. So, we noticed inconsistencies in how the teams delivered and validated changes. The processes were reactive and inconsistent. So, in many cases there are no clearly defined quality gates. Code moved fast, but not safely. Are we moving fast without guardrails? Dashboards, technology, tools is another area. If you can't see it, you don't know what's happening. There was a lack of visibility into what was actually happening. There was not proper health dashboard, and there was also requirement of upgrading some tools and technology. So, we were asking, like, if you can't see it, how can we improve? Are we flying blind? So, all this problem, how did we propose as a solution? What we did do? Once we understood the challenge landscape, we understood that a one size fits all approach or strategy wouldn't work here. Some problems needed immediate attention, while others required a long term strategy, mindset shift. So, we created a collaborative two-lane strategy, the fast lane and the sustainable lane. The fast lane was all about quick wins. We focused on high impact, high urgency issues, especially those related to the production outages or issues impacting the customer experience. The goal here is to stop the bleeding. stabilize the system, restore confidence. This included like quick fixes, high priority defect, closing critical gaps, and monitoring and alerting. Then the sustainable lane, it's our long-term investment. The lane focused on process improvements, cultural changes, mindset change, and it's going to take time, and also it brings long-term results. So these two tracks allowed us to balance urgency with sustainability. They ensured we are delivering immediate results. So in this dual strategy, we needed a structured execution plan to bring our quality engineering initiative to life. We followed this approach. So the backlog building, we started by building a backlog, and not just list of bugs, but actionable working items. This included gaps in automation, missing quality gates, then test data issues or process bottlenecks. We worked closely with cross-functional teams to prioritize based on impact and feasibility. Then like POC and alignment. So before going big, we ran proof of concepts to validate ideas like introducing new automation strategies or tool or even dashboard or process tweaks. These POCs helped us get quick feedback, de-risk the rollout, and get alignment from developers, testers, and leadership. In rollout, once validated, we moved into controlled rollout. We started with pilot teams and gathered learnings, refined the approach, then scaled it up. So this ensured consistency without overwhelming teams. Rollouts were collaborative and as well as top-down. So the adoption came with buy-in. Then the last one is the continuous improvement. This was not a one-time project. It became a living practice. So we introduced regular retros, feedback loops, metrics review, and kept refining the backlog. Quality became a habit, not a phase, and we need to establish this. So the system kept getting better even after the fixes were done. So this phased approach helped us turn the reactive firefighting into proactive quality engineering, one iteration at a time. How do we execute this? So once the challenges were clear and we had alignment on our collaborative approach, the very first step was to create a roadmap, because without a roadmap, it's just firefighting. It started with quality vision. We co-created a shared vision of what good looks like and aim to achieve. This gives us and the developers to the leadership a North Star. Then we structured our work into fast lane and the sustainable lane, which I shared earlier. Next was building quality solution. It was like the core of the initiative. And it included automation strategy, revamping automation framework, starting or smarter CI/CD pipeline, quality gates introduction, and actionable dashboards, all designed to remove the noise, reduce risk, and improve confidence in releases. Then the initiative rollout, we didn't stop everything or drop everything at once. We rolled out initiatives gradually and incrementally, validating, refining, and scaling what worked. We also embraced the idea of 1% improvement. Not everything had to be big bang transformation. Even small wins like lesser flaky test or higher small percentage improvement in the code coverage or like cleaner code logs, all this added up to the meaningful progress, even small wins. So, and slowly we started moving the needle. So, outages frequency went down over the time and feedback loops tightened, team morale improved. So, it's become like quality engineering is not a part of work to get done, or it's not a checkbox to be ticked. So, with the roadmap in place, the next important step was to define a clear way of working, so that everyone knew how we are going to execute, collaborate and measure progress. We broke this into structured repeatable cycle, pilot, OPA, rollout and measure. So, in the pilot, as we mentioned earlier, like we did proof of concepts and like tried with small team and try to do a pilot of that initiative. OPA is basically organizational process asset, which is documentation, and it's very pivotal for the whole customer side. Then in rollout, like helping different teams from implementing the pilot whatever we have done, and the measurement is basically calculating how are you going to measure that initiative's improvement. So, this structure cycle helped us stay disciplined, transparent and outcome focused. No matter how complex the initiative, it became the rhythm of our quality transformation. When we are working across multiple teams, tools and priorities, it's easy for everyone to have their own definition of quality. So, we made it priority to set up some common rules of the game. This was not about policing, it was about creating shared clarity and responsibility. So, there needs to be openness and transparency from the customer side. There needs to be stakeholder involved in discussions, backlog, grooming. Then we recommend changes, but the implementation and the mandate needs to be from the customer side. Then there requires to be a high level of self-confidence, motivation from the management drives that changes inside the organization. We will create automated test or probably like revamp the automation framework, but to scale it up is required to be the customer team's responsibility. Then implement and realize the POCs, the customer team will have to support. Will support in work and packages, but with a limit of time and resources. The fast lane may result in non-sustainable practices, but a sufficient short-term increase, but the long-term sustainable lane will address that. So, often we see the quality transformation get overlooked. It becomes as a side project. So, but to make it a shared mission that sticks, we needed the right structure, a team model that brought in the right voices at the right levels, working in sync. So, we set up a 3-tier team structure to drive speed, alignment and continuous feedback. First, the core team, which is basically the execution powerhouse. It involves the consulting team, includes a quality champion from each product team, then the people who has like mindset of hands-on and the credibility within their squads. They worked closely and for the consulting and with the quality engineering group to drive day-to-day implementation and embed new practices. They are working in a 2 to 4 like iterations in a sprint or like in any iterations. Now, the second one is the challenger team that included the engineer and development manager who kept in close touch with the core teams. They played a crucial role giving honest feedback, surfacing edge cases and more importantly clearing roadblocks when progress stalled. That ensured the quality effort stayed realistic, well integrated. And then there is a steering team, which is a group consisted of the decision makers and the stakeholders. It's very important to keep the stakeholders on the same page. The budgeting is also very important. So they helped set direction, provided sponsorship, and adjusted priorities based on outcomes and evolving business needs. The structure helped us move fast without losing coordination. More importantly, it ensured that quality was not a side project, it became everyone's responsibility. So what we did in the first lane? So here the major focus was stopping the bleeding. So we majorly looked into the production outages, deep dive into the root cause, and created the backlogs to address those quick fixes and create like implementing quality gates or tweaking the pipeline or even revamping automation framework, and set the foundation for the sustainable lane, including DevOps practice, improved environments, and weekly governance. Now in the sustainable lane, it was like building long-term resilience by addressing the root causes. Then there are a lot of takeaways from the fast lane which moved into the sustainable lane, and we kept on refining the backlogs, then worked on like new introduction of any tool, making the smart pipeline, focusing on changing mindset, then creating a active dashboard, then establish test trainings, best practices, and knowledge sharing across all teams. So in the next slide, So once the structure was in place, we rolled up our sleeves and got to work with a series of targeted quality initiatives across teams. So there are few initiatives like introduction of quality gates. So we all know that like quality gate plays an important role in your quality pipeline. There may be multiple phases of testing that you perform, but you need to introduce quality gate at every stages of your SDLC pipeline. Then we had an initiative named Bug Bash. So every team or the testing team focuses on finding bugs, but the Bug Bash is an event where everyone in the team comes into an eventful way to find bug, and it's across the development team to the ops to the QA. So at the customer side, we had one tech debt sprint in every quarter, and one day we reserved for a Bug Bash, and to make it more playful event, we introduced prizes, then accolades, so that we can bring more bugs before it get caught in the production. And it created a huge buzz within the customer side. Then code quality and coverage guardian. So what we have seen that there are many teams are using their own set of code quality or coverage tool, like someone is using JUnit, Jacoco or something else. But for all the teams it's important for the stakeholders to have a high level view and bringing into a common platform. So we introduced Sonar Cube across all teams to have a visibility about the code coverage and code quality. Then there were a lot of AWS movement, and a lot of codes were written in Terraform, and it requires a security check. So we introduced TFSec tool for scanning this Terraform code. Release note automation was one of the important initiative, because initially there were more releases, even weekly releases, and it was all of the bugs. So there are a lot of time been spent on preparing the release note for the customer, for the end user, and it was taking time and it was a manual process. So we tried to automate and the release note preparation, and it is one of the important steps in your release process. We created an initiative named SDLC Toolkit, where we have integrated multiple small things together. At the customer side, they are using Rally as a tool for the project management or the even test management, and there was not integration with their GitHub repo. So, like integrating Rally with your GitHub, and then using Rally API to update the Rally based on the PR or like the releases or any movement into the story. And then we also created an initiative within the toolkit about code churn. It's important to find the hotspot and where are the areas that maximum number of check-ins happen and the issues are related to that area or not. So all these initiatives we tied them with clear KPIs so that we can make sure they move the needle. So on the next slide, you will see how we have measured success. So for every initiative we have taken, we have categorized them in 3 scales, like better, faster, or cheaper. So when we create a backlog and discuss with the stakeholder and decide an initiative, whether this initiative is better, faster, or cheaper. So there are few initiatives, for example, like the framework revamping. So now the major KPIs here is like reduction in the execution time and reduction in PR review time. Then there are like critical user test automation, basically like build verification test. So that was also one of the initiative, and when we have introduced that, then you need to see that how many number of teams have been implemented that initiative. Then TFSec one, like number of teams migrated to the TFSec. Mobile automation, we have done revamping of their framework, introduced a tool named Beatbar, which is an online platform for getting the mobile devices and doing the testing from SmartBeer. So like how many teams are integrated with that, and how do you see the execution time has reduced. Then unit test coverage using the SonarQube. So what is the code coverage improvement, and what is the number of teams, the repos been integrated with SonarQube. Then, and also in the SDLC Rally automation, what we have checked is like total number of teams that integrated with SonarQube. So by anchoring these initiatives to outcome, we make quality visible, not just as a goal, but as a measurable progress, and that helped bring credibility and momentum to the transformation. So what is the outcome? So this is where it all comes together. Everything we did, structuring the team, defining the roadmap, rolling out initiatives, was aimed at realizing a clear quality vision. A shift from reactive firefighting to proactive quality engineering, from scattered efforts to predictable high confidence releases, fixing defects to preventing defects. So we moved the focus from just testing to building quality into every part of the process, and more importantly, the team started to believe in it, because we told them to do it. It's not just that, because they have seen it, it's happening. So the results matter. So here we have introduced quality gates and quality checks into the different phases of the SDLC, which may be pretty common in every project, but for any customized solution, introducing the quality gates and where to introduce, it's important. So that was the quality vision. And what we have done over the years. So this quality engineering practice that we have implemented to multiple teams, The customer had multiple different trains, and implementing those to different teams within that train was a challenging task. Then we have implemented the user flow test automation for multiple teams, so that like the first level of check is implemented. Then the code quality and coverage, 60 plus repos has been integrated with SonarQube. The project health dashboard, which was missing at the beginning, so that was been created with major OKRs. Guideline was document was created. So bug bash, then bug triaging. So we also emphasized on the bug triaging and improved the process. So ultimately, it was a collective mindset to a shared quality vision. So now you can see the result. So if there's one slide that captures the impact of this entire journey, this is the one. What you are seeing here is an year-over-year production outages counts. So at the start of our engagement, outages were high, frequent and disruptive, often due to a mix of missed scenarios, fragile code, and limited observability. But as we introduce quality gates, automated test revamping, better monitoring and more structured process, we begin to see a clear downward trend. Each year, the number of outages reduced, not just because we are fixing the issues, but preventing them. This trend did not happen overnight. It was the result of sustained effort, team alignment, and a strong quality first approach. And it validated our belief. You don't just fix quality, you grow it with intention, with collaboration and consistency. So as we wrap up this journey from mayhem to method, I want to touch upon some important takeaways to leave with you. A clear vision is the foundation. Without a shared quality, teams drift. We saw how having a clear direction helped align teams, prioritizing initiatives, and build lasting momentum. Quality is everyone's responsibility. It's not just the tester's jobs or a QA team's job. It's a shared mindset across product, dev, ops, and leadership. When that clicks, everything changes. Quality engineering is bigger than just testing. Quality engineering is not about automating tests. It's about building systems, processes, and culture that prevent issues, accelerate delivery, and enable confidence at scale. Testing was a component, but quality engineering was the system. Systematic RCA unlocks the real progress. So we moved beyond traditional testing to focus on observability, resilience, automation, and continuous feedback. Testing was a component, but quality engineering was the system. So as we wrap up, I want to leave with a quote which is like, quality is a journey, not a phase. You don't arrive at perfect quality. You build it, evolve it, and nurture it. Every sprint, every release, every team decision. Thank you for joining me about this story of transformation, where we have converted a chaos into clarity, and quality became a habit for the customer at that time. Oh, I have a gift certificate for a question I will be asking from the presentation. So, like in the deck, I have talked about defining the initiatives in 3 scales. Can anyone tell about those 3 scales for the initiatives that we have taken? And it's a $50 gift certificate? Yeah. Anyone?
Faster, better, cheaper.
Yeah.
Can I get a quick photo of you guys shaking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank
you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we are running time. Yeah.
Couple minutes for Q&A.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a couple of minutes for Q&A. So if you have any questions or anything. Yep.
So you said you had KPIs for each initiative. What was the KPI for the release notes automation?
Yeah. So for the release note automation, the KPI was first it was like that time saving, like how much time it was taken for the release note automation earlier, and after that, how much time it takes. So earlier it was like, if I remember correctly, like it was around 6 to 8 hours for preparing a release note for the production release, which reduced to 1 hour, because release note contains what are the items that you release, all the items, and then their details. So it was like kind of an automation process which was pulling all the tickets information from Rally and print into a document, which was the format for the release note.
So it was a fully automated process, not partially automated.
It was fully automated at the end, and like there was multiple systems like Rally, then Word document from start to beginning. So and for that, like majorly it was like Python based one automation code that interacted with both Rally API and the Microsoft Word document, which was then converted into their specific format of the release.
Okay. So I'm also just thinking that with definitely release notes, because they are stuff that end users should see.
Yeah.
The wording will be quite different from what is used in internal tickets.
Yeah.
So how did that? Did you have any sort of
Yeah. So
difference between?
can you bring closer?
Sorry. Did you have any sort of differences between the typical wordings that people would put in their internal tickets compared to the way that things should be phrased for end users?
So if I understood correctly, basically like that there are for every release, if it's a defect or a feature, so the development team or any team ties them with the ticket like Jira ticket or Rally tickets and all the informations like what are the pull requests and what are the different checks that are all are tracked with that Rally ticket. So in that work, what we have done is pulling all the information into a document, and then there would be a final check by the release manager, because for a release manager who is probably not into the daily scrum meetings and all, to go through all the tickets, it's a time consuming matter.
Yeah.
Be it Rally or Jira, or any other tool for say.
Yeah.
So once you have all the informations into a document, then it is easy to review and finish up that part, like if you want to tweak any kind of lines and all. So ultimately at the last, that manual check of the release note is required, but creating that release note was automated
so
by
the
this
generation that's automated, but there is a final manual review.
Yeah, so that would be like even like when we are releasing any product or even any release, there we don't generally do automation into the production, but we do a smoke check or a sanity check on the production. So that is required, and which is a manual process. So like it's not, when we talk about quality engineering, it's not just about automation testing. It's about like how you bringing all these things together into a common thread so that your quality goal is achieved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dipankar. Thank you.
Thank you.